Holy crap, the entire room's overhaul update was leaked indoors. No, you didn't hear that wrong. We just got a massive leak of the next major doors update, featuring the reveal of a brand new entity, as well as a bunch of new overhauled rooms coming in the update. Alright, so in case you weren't aware, the next major doors update, which will be releasing sometime this year, will completely overhaul the room's subfloor. This update has remained a secret for quite some time. However, today, as of recording this video, the developers accidentally leaked a whole bunch of new features that'll be implemented into it. Now, keep in mind, a lot of it is unfinished, but it's still a major game changer into how we view the update as a whole. I'm going to be going over everything we received in this leak, including the brand new entity. So, with all of that being said, let's begin. Alright, so how did this even happen in the first place? Well, today the developers decided to release a mini update for the game. However, they accidentally allowed rooms from the upcoming room's subfloor overhaul to generate, meaning throughout your playthroughs you could just find them out in the open. It was a mistake on the developers' part, and they likely probably just hit the publish button on the update too soon before getting rid of all of their work in progress stuff. Anyways, in total I think 6 or 7 new rooms were teased, and based on their designs, it's pretty obvious they are for the room's overhaul. Some are direct revamps of pre-existing rooms within the current version of the subfloor, whereas others are completely new, featuring never-seen-before decorations such as cubicles. The whole thing seems to be blue in color, which is interesting, but I think it fits very well. Now, we'll get into the rooms some more later, but now let's talk about the new entity leaked alongside it, as I'm sure that's why all of you are pretty much here. Dear viewers, meet Honcho, or at least that's what this entity's name is in the game files. They are a humanoid being seemingly made entirely of paper, as reflected by the design of their paper arms, as well as how they are incredibly thin. They don't have a head either, as their face is just a giant black square, as if it was censored out. Honcho wears a blue suit, which fits the whole atmosphere of the room's subfloor taking place in an office, and they currently don't have any known functionalities, meaning if you do manage to encounter them in-game, they'll remain perfectly still. This is our first look at a new entity that is going to be implemented into the subfloor's overhaul, and I think it looks pretty good. However, how is this guy going to function? Well, that is where things get a little messy, so strap in. However, before I get into that, I would like to mention how this entity doesn't seem to follow the current naming scheme of all the other entities in the rooms. You know, where A is in front of their name and then it's some numbers of which door they are located on. So I'm assuming this means that entities are going to be receiving a naming change overhaul in this update, which I guess is kinda cool? I don't know. Anyways, back on track, the only room which Honcho spawns in is this one, featuring several cubicles as well as a giant wooden board on one side of the room. This board has a mysterious symbol on it, which appears to be a crudely drawn circle with the letter S in the middle of it. I am unsure as to what this symbol means. However, it is important to note that because of the presence of this symbol, the room looks vastly different from the others that were leaked. All the other rooms look relatively similar, containing a blue and gray color scheme, all except the one Honcho spawns in. This leads me to believe that maybe Honcho is tied to spawning in this one room, similar to how Figure only spawns in the library. It's also possible Honcho can spawn throughout the entirety of the subfloor and acts as a roaming entity, and they just happen to spawn in this odd room containing a symbol. Like I said though, I'm not too sure what this symbol means, so if you viewers have any idea as to what is being shown here, please let me know in the comments. Now, one other theory I had about Honcho is that maybe the subfloor could be themed around them. For example, the entire gimmick of the backdoor subfloor is for it to be themed around haste. Everything you do in the back door is to prevent that one entity from reaching you. The same thing could also be said for the outdoors and the groundskeeper. So, what if the same thing could be said for Honcho in the rooms, where they relentlessly follow you and you must somehow prevent them from killing you? Or they could be a friendly entity and you must help them reach the end of the subfloor. Honcho's design really isn't that threatening, I mean besides how they don't have a face. So I wouldn't be surprised if they were made to be a neutral or even friendly entity who is just trying to reach the end of the rooms just like the player is. It could add an interesting gimmick to the update, but that is all just speculation. Anyways, let's get back to the rooms that were leaked. One of the new rooms that caught my attention was this one. This room seems to be a direct overhaul of the E room found in the original room subfloor. However, as you may notice, it is a lot bigger here in this leak than it is currently. In fact, all of the leaked rooms seem to be bigger than their current counterparts. This could be pretty good evidence supporting that the subfloor will be upsized, which I think is a really good thing, as it will feel more expansive and less cramped. Additionally, the presence of lights in all of these new rooms is very intriguing. As you may know, the current room subfloor has no natural light sources, and instead the entire subfloor as a whole just starts off very bright and slowly becomes pitch dark. This same gimmick will likely exist in the Overhaul. However, this could mean we can see the light decorations dimming in real time as we progress through the floor, rather than just watching the floor as a whole get darker and darker for seemingly no reason. Which is a pretty cool detail, I do like that. Now, the last thing I'd like to say regarding this leak is how bland it is. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the new designs of the rooms. I think the developers did an excellent job with that, and I especially love Honcho's design. However, just based on what we are seeing, it looks like these overhauled rooms are lacking in decorations quite a bit, at least if compared to the other floors in the game. Now, this could just be due to how the rooms are still unfinished, and more content will be added to them as they are more developed. However, as you may recall, the original room subfloor is also pretty bland, so it's possible that the same feeling is attempted to be recaptured here. In any case, I just hope the rooms at least get a few more decorations to feel less empty, as even though it may take away from that barren feeling of the subfloor just a tiny bit, I think it could do a lot more in the long run for making the subfloor's overhaul look more visually appealing, which I think is the better alternative. So, to summarize, the developers accidentally leaked a bunch of new rooms coming in the room's Overhaul update, as well as a brand new entity. It appears the subfloor will be following a blue and gray color scheme, as well as a more modern build style to fit the rest of the game, which I am definitely a fan of. One of my pet peeves with the original rooms was how different it looked from the rest of the game, so I'm glad that's being fixed now. Additionally, the presence of a strange symbol on the wall in one of the buildings could be a hint towards something greater, but as to what that is, we don't know. I'm not entirely sure what the significance is of a crudely drawn letter S in the middle of a crudely drawn circle. Lastly, a new entity, that being Honcho, was revealed. They are a giant humanoid made of paper, and it's possible they could be a roaming entity that is our friend or foe. So, with all of that being said, let me know in the comments what you think of this leak. And thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.